Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It is Wednesday, March 30th. Happy Hump Day, everyone. We are here to try to take the mystery out of your financial life. The way we do that is we ask you to send us your financial questions. They can really run the range. It could be a question about taxes, because with 2 weeks to go before the deadline, I know you might have some questions. Maybe it's a retirement planning question. Maybe it's a question about 2 different job offers you have. We'd love to hear from you. All you need to do is go to our website, jillonmoney.com, click the contact us button, and we'll get your note. If you're willing to come on the air, then just check that box. We'll get that information and Mark will do the rest. Today, we are talking to Mari from Virginia. Hello, Mari. How are you and what can we do for you?
Thank you, Jill. I'm well. Thank you so much for inviting me to the show. I am a baby boomer, 68 years old. And my question has to do with baby boomers helping millennials buy their first home in an expensive city like New York City.
Tell me more. How many kids do you have?
I have 2 daughters. One is 33. She's in med school and she is going to be financially stable. The other one, the youngest one, is 31. She is a designer, evening wear designer in New York City. And she's very talented, but her industry does not provide job security. She has been working in New York for 10 years and living with roommates in a very frugal apartment. And it was very challenging during COVID. And she has been thinking for a long time that eventually she would like to have her own place, even if it's a small studio. And I would like to help her because I feel that I am financially stable for my retirement, but I want to consult with you to get your input.
Well, first of all, if we make her dreams come true, will I be able to afford one of her evening wear designer gowns? That's the biggest question I have. You know, Mark, I have to go to the correspondence dinner, so maybe this could be my chance to get something from a up and coming designer. Mari, tell us a little bit about yourself and how much you're thinking about helping your daughter.
Okay, I am 68 years old, divorced, and live comfortably with a $53,000 pension, annual pension in Virginia. I am delaying Social Security benefits and 3 savings plan retirement withdrawals until mandatory. I also have 50,000 in emergency savings, 200,000 in a brokerage account. My home is valued at about 600, no mortgage, and I have a rental house valued at about 800, no
Whoa.
mortgage. So
Wow.
after having this rental property for about 35 years, I am selling it because I purchased it in 1985. The value has increased significantly. My accountant says that I have to pay probably around $170,000 in capital gains tax. So initially I was thinking about, okay, just sell it and use the proceeds to help my daughter buy a small apartment in New York. But then I heard about the 1031 exchange. And now I'm thinking that maybe this is a better option to go that route and offer my daughter rent with the option to buy.
Right. That's actually kind of interesting because, you know, I don't know if your accountant figured all the tax that's due because I think it's capital gains, but then you have to recapture the depreciation that you've been claiming on that tax return, right? So if you go that route, and we're going to talk about if you go that route, you've got to deal with a team of people who can help you make the 1031 exchange and do it seamlessly because there are a lot of rules around it. So what I would do is I would be looking for, maybe you could get some help locally from an attorney who has handled a 1031 exchange, because what we don't want to happen is that like all of a sudden the IRS says, oh no, you didn't do it the right way. Now you have to pay the tax and you're stuck with a new place that you own anyway. So that's number one. We're going to get someone to help you out, probably a lawyer to help you. The next part of this is a simpler question. You obviously have a ton of money. I mean, you've got all the money that you've saved. You have a pension. You're going to get Social Security. And already right now, you're living with your pension without Social Security, right?
Right.
How much did you say was in your thrift savings plan?
In the thrift savings plan, 400,000,
Wow.
and I have 200,000 in a brokerage account and 600,000 in a Roth IRA.
Unbelievable. So you're in great shape. Can I ask a dumb question?
Yeah.
How does the other daughter feel about this? Like, are we going to piss off your other daughter?
I have thought about that, and I have discussed with her my interest in helping my youngest daughter. And she knows that it's very challenging for my youngest daughter in New York. And she is very generous. And she says, yes, definitely, you need to help her. But I told her that with the rent that I get, I would be able to help her as well because she has a loan for $250,000 that she has to pay.
Okay, so there's a couple of things here. So I think you can do this. I think the way that you can do it is, and this is actually a smart thing, that you get the exchange done and then your daughter is paying you rent. And that's fine. You're going to treat this as rental property, but then you're going to need some help, and maybe you can get a local real estate lawyer to kind of help you actually have a lease and treat this like a real transaction.
Right.
Now, the other thing that's interesting is that how much longer does your older daughter have in medical school?
She's doing residency, so she's out in 1.5 years.
Okay, and we don't know where she's going to land.
Oh, she is in Oakland area, the Bay.
Oh, so another a high housing cost place, right?
Right, both.
So maybe what you can do is this. If you want to treat them a little bit more fairly, you'll have to keep track of this, right? One way to think about it is, sure, you can have your daughter just pay you rent, or maybe even forego it, or pay a lower than market rent, and also be able to help her figure out how she can buy it and save some money and make this a real exchange. The other idea, of course, would be that you take some of the money that you will be pulling down in either rent when you start taking your distributions at age 72 for the thrift savings plan for brokerage, and help your older daughter with her medical school debt. This is quite generous of you. I think the only reason it really works is because you've been such a good saver. I just want one real caveat here, and that is, I don't want you to plow through all of your money. Like, would I not signing up for you? I guess that there's two things to consider. If you want to do this on a longer term basis, you could literally say to each kid, we're going to figure this out. And then, younger daughter, you're going to get this beautiful rental property. And then you'll pay me rent, but then we'll figure out how you buy it from me. Older daughter, I'm going to help you pay down your debt. The other, maybe simpler way to think about it would be, well, maybe I should just sell the rental property, forget about the whole 1031 exchange, take whatever money I have, the net of all the fees and all the taxes. Let's say it's 500,000 net. Like, that's what you're left with. Maybe what you do in that part, just to make it easier, is you basically say, older daughter, here's $250,000 to pay down your debt. Younger daughter, here's $250,000 to go buy an apartment. Do your best. I just want to say that the 1031 exchange, while it's not impossible and it's certainly doable, it's going to take some record keeping on your part. And yeah, you do have to buy a new house or a new apartment within a certain period of time. So there is a bit of a gun to your head in terms of that. I also think that there is something I know that your older daughter is going to make more money because she's a doctor, but you can also be helping each of them out in their own ways, and also not dip into your savings right this second and not really thinking about it. And the only thing that you would have to do if you decided that was the route, that you're going to sell the house, is that you would have to file a gift tax return so that the IRS knows that you're kind of using up your future gift tax allowance. Do you have a will? and healthcare proxy?
Yeah, I have a trust and a will, the estate planning documents.
Great. So if you went back to that attorney and you said, I'm going to sell this rental property and I want it, whatever the proceeds are, I want to split in half and give to each daughter, that attorney will file the forms necessary so that no one gets in trouble around it. So it's not a taxable gift. It's just that you're using up part of your future allowance that the IRS gives you to give money away without paying tax. And I think that might be easier. I really do. Because otherwise, I don't know, like, listen, she's an evening wear designer. What does she make? 56. She probably makes like no money, like $80,000 in New York City.
73.
I mean, that's hard to live in New York City. I know that because we have these young broadcast journalists who are making that much money. And it's hard to live in New York on that. But I also want to point out that, you know, she may not be in the best place to actually buy an apartment right now. Anyway, maybe she'd rather keep renting, see where things move and see how maybe she's going to end up like going to Paris for 3 years and then she's got an apartment and like, I don't know, maybe it's better to give her the money now and have the flexibility and say, look, I was thinking about this as a place, as something you could have. She could certainly find an apartment right now in New York. She could get a studio, a teeny tiny little studio. Mark, go to Zillow and find her an apartment right now. Now, let's say let's say that there is like a $500,000 studio in New York. Okay. She puts $100,000 down. She gets a mortgage. She does have income and she'll be able to have that place herself, but she's on the hook for paying the mortgage and making that choice. She may not want to. Maybe for her, she's like, all I want is to not have roommates and I just want to rent for a while. I'll sit on this money, but we're going to have her she's going to have to manage this lump sum of money. And this is one way to sort of help her become grown up and take care of herself. Do you trust her? She's not going to blow it, is she?
Oh, no, she's very responsible.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that may be something to consider. You can do either way, but whichever way you go, you're going to have some attorneys that are involved. And I don't know. I think that it's a weird thing. Like, let's say your medical school daughter, what's her residency? What is her specialty?
ER, emergency.
Right. Okay. So let's say you do this really nice thing for your designer daughter. And in 3 years, your older daughter's like, oh my God, I'm burnt out. I'm going to go be a primary care physician and I'm making $112,000 a year. Like, we don't know what's going to happen to each of them. So I think that at this point, because they're both so young, it might be worth it to treat them equally and then see how things go. Look, in 5 years, your medical school daughter is out and practicing and she's making $500,000 a year because she's, the most sought after ER doc and taking all extra shifts. She might say to you, know what, Mom, I don't need anything else. What you did for me was great. I don't have to pay that debt down. It's awesome. But I would think at this point, treating them equally might make more sense. Does that seem okay?
Thank you so much for your input. Yeah, there is a lot to think about. And
yep.
I appreciate your input because, of course, you're expert. So that's what
I don't know if I'm expert, but I'll tell you what, I know that these things can get a little bit confusing in terms of like planning for the future. And what I really also know is that when you have kids, weird things can happen and we don't want to cause any conflict or anything between them. It might be easier to just do it this way. Think about it. Talk to some people. I would line up some attorneys and find out about the 1031 process, but know that would be a long-term record keeping process that someone would have to help you out with, I think, because it's just kind of a pain in the neck. But otherwise, you let us know how it goes. You've done an amazing job. You're a fabulous mother.
Thank you.
I mean, I really, it's just unbelievable. You've done a fantastic job. So congratulations. And thanks for joining us. I mean, what a great way for us. We've just been interviewing a lot of people. It's such a nice way for us to end our recording session today. So good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
All right. If you want to start selling property and gifting it to your kids and doing all sorts of shenanigans, give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we'll get your note. While you're on the website, sign up for the free weekly newsletter. Go subscribe to our sister broadcast. It's called Eye on Money. And we like to remind you to please do something nice for someone else today. Grit, growth, grace. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.